Introduction. A great fire plunged Xu Yuheng into the wizarding world of a full-time mage. As he awakened his magic, he, who had previously clashed with the fire offender, unexpectedly awakened the fire type and devoured the spirit seed, becoming an infinitely stronger Emperor Flame. Just as he felt like he was being played by fate, his proficiency system went online and his magic became abnormal.Mo fan. This is not magic. Why is your magic so much stronger than mine? Mu Ningxue. Can you tell me how you did it? Mu Nujiao. Elbow, go home and don't show off. Chapter 1. Childhood Sweetheart and Childhood Sweetheart, Pastoral Slave and Delicate Woman. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. September 1st. The Magic City First Magic School has once again welcomed a group of inexperienced young girls. Class 1, Grade 1, sat in the center of the classroom, with sword eyebrows and starry eyes, and a slightly stiff face. The boy looked around with flat glasses and happened to focus his gaze on the girl sitting in front of him with a ponytail tied. The corner of the mouth slightly raised, revealing a faint smile. The mischievous hand grabbed the girl's ponytail and pulled it back. The girl seemed to have been accustomed to it for a long time. She followed the trend and looked back at the young man with a pair of clear and moist eyes that were very unhappy. Xu Yuheng, you better call me if you have something, otherwise you can wait for me. Xu Yuheng didn't let go of the girl's ponytail, but casually played with it and said, Mu Nujiao, you are the eldest lady of the Mo family. Don't you be nervous about awakening any magic later. If you are a water or light type magic with little initial effect, then your future situation in the pastoral family will not be too good. Mu Nujiao gave Xu Yuheng a white eye and pulled back the ponytail that Xu Yuheng was playing with. You don't have to worry about it. I have already awakened the plant system in the family, don't you envy me? If you really awaken to a water or light system later, I can consider making you my bag attendant. With a soft snort, Mu Nujiao turned around somewhat displeased. When she was a child, she didn't know, but now she still doesn't know why. Damn Xu Yuheng, this guy has been scheming her. The Mu Nu looked so shy and distressed, and Xu Yuheng had seen it countless times. He lightly pushed the frame at the corner of his eye, and a strange expression flashed in Xu Yuheng's eyes. Xu Yuheng has been a person of 2 generations. He used to be an intern at a pharmaceutical research institution. When he was young, he was diagnosed with a deficiency in the 5 elements. After adding gold to his name, he accidentally died in a big fire. Perhaps it is the legendary true gold that is not afraid of fire. Xu Yuheng did indeed die once, but he did not die completely. Instead, he was reborn in this world dominated by magic. The names of the 2 lifetimes are the same, but the only difference is that in his previous life, he was roasted to death by fire, but in this life, he became a mage who controlled the fire. That's right, just like Mu Nujiao, Xu Yuheng was also awakened by his own father at home, using the designated fire magic crystal to awaken the fire system. At the moment when he awakened to the magic department yesterday, the necessary cheat for a time traveler was also delayed but arrived. Name: Xu Yuheng. Legal system: Fire Spirit Seed. Emperor Flame, gifted by newcomers, can continuously enhance power and increase various effects by devouring spirit seeds, soul seeds, etc. Magic. Currently unavailable. Star Control. 1, 5 out of 100, a brief panel that only he himself can see is a concrete manifestation of his proficiency system. Yesterday, he tried to meditate and control all night, and his proficiency increased by 5 points. If he maintained this speed, it would only take him 20 days at most, and he could grasp the first star. This speed is not bad. If the remaining 6 stars can maintain this progress all the time, he can complete the control of the stars in at most 5 months, thus releasing the first level fire magic. Fire Z Burn. This progress is similar to that of Mo Fan, who also controls 7 stars in 5 months. But the progress of this kind of cultivation is still faster. Magic is not a niche place like Bo City, and forbidden spells may not be common. However, there are definitely many high-level mages who can reach this level, and their spiritual power is at least 4 realms or above. Not to mention, there are many powerful mages in the Magic City who possess both sound and soul skills. His exaggerated control of progress is highly likely to attract the attention of those with ulterior motives. Someone once said that the human heart, on par with sunshine, is the least visible existence in this world. A person who takes 1 step forward is a genius, but if they take 100 steps forward, it is a heresy. For heretics, those birdmans in the holy city are the ones who dance the most happily and also the most troublesome. He can't afford to provoke those birdmans for the time being. If he is not careful and cultivates without any hesitation, it will definitely attract a lot of malicious looks. In that moment, Xu Yuheng had already considered a lot. In his opinion, a certain degree of concealment is necessary. The progress of cultivation should be kept as confidential as possible, and future development must also be reasonable, such as obtaining opportunities. Just as Xu Yuheng was contemplating his future plans, other students in the class also completed the magical awakening under the unified arrangement of the class teacher. As expected, the rooftop of the teaching building was filled with students contemplating what else was worth in life. These students are no exception, with a uniform light system and a single light bulb in the early stages, which is quite disappointing. The water system is also relatively good. In places near the sea like the Magic City, where water resources are abundant, it is relatively easy to get to the middle level, so it is not easy to directly face life on the rooftop. All the students had awakened, and the middle-aged man standing on the podium was Rong Wensheng, the homeroom teacher of Class 1 in Grade 1. He put away the magic awakening stone gem and said to the 50 or 60 students in the class who had already awakened to magic, "All right, except for the 2 students who have already awakened to magic at home, everyone has also awakened to magic. I am glad that the students in our class have not awakened to failure. Here, I congratulate all students on entering the world of wizards. In the next 3 years, the teacher also hopes that all students can help each other and achieve better results in the cultivation of magic." After a round of applause, Rong Wensheng also took the initiative to propose, "A class must have a class monitor. Is there any student who would like to recommend themselves?" "Teacher, since elementary school, I have served as the class committee member for 9 consecutive years. If possible, I would like to serve as the class monitor for our first class." Who else could be so proactive, besides Nujiao sitting in front of Xu Yuheng? For 9 consecutive years, serving as the class committee member also made many students who were moved by the position of class leader give up. Under the nod of Rong Wensheng, Nujiao indisputably became the class leader. After arranging for Nujiao as the class leader, Rong Wensheng explained a few words and left directly. On the first day of school, classes are often not arranged. After 3 o'clock in the afternoon, everyone left after school, and Nujiao followed Xu Yuheng on the way home. It can only be said that she truly deserves to be the future pearl goddess. The current pastoral slave has not yet grown, but she is also an absolute beauty embryo, attracting the attention of countless peers along the way. Xu Yuheng sighed slightly and said, "Nujiao, with you by my side, my pressure is really a bit high. I think we should not leave together in the future, okay?" The elegant and graceful Nujiao, who was a lady from a wealthy family, was quite aggressive at the moment. A hint of danger flashed through her moist and beautiful eyes, and her cherry lips lifted lightly. "Xu Yuheng, do you really think so, or do you already feel a bit annoyed with me? How could it be? You are my childhood sweetheart, and I don't have time to cherish it. How could I get bored? At most, I just want to be closer to you." Xu Yuheng is very honest, and it cannot be denied that he is indeed a greedy shepherd's slave. The Nu walked lightly forward a few steps and said in a sullen tone, "You're a pervert. I knew you were still plotting against me. I'll tell Uncle Xu and Aunt Luo later, you just wait for them to mix doubles." Upon hearing this, Xu Yuheng really didn't know what to say. Just like what Nujiao said, as long as she complains, Xu Yuheng will definitely not avoid a mixed doubles beating from his parents. But after his parents beat him up, they urged him to take down the pastoral slave Zhao as soon as possible. The two people walking on the road were fighting and quarreling, and they returned to a villa area not far from the enchanted No. 1 middle school. Xu Yuheng and his family have been neighbors of Nujiao for over a decade. Mu's manor is outside the magic city, and Nujiao lives here relative to the school district house. As soon as they returned to the entrance of the villa area, they met a young girl with a face somewhat similar to Nujiao's, who was Nujiao's cousin, Xian. Sister, brother Yuheng, you guys are back. Nuxian's fair and green face was filled with a smile. Xu Yuheng nodded with a smile and said, we have to come back with your sister every day to avoid her running away, right? Nujiao gave Xu Yuheng a mischievous pat, giving him a playful glare. The two of them flirted and made Nuxian feel a bit tempted. In order to avoid eating dog food, she quickly interjected, Yuheng, have you awakened magic today? The angry Nujiao also straightened her ears. It was obvious that she was also very concerned about Xu Yuheng's awakening of some kind of magic. Nujiao's small actions were all noticed by Xu Yuheng, who also intentionally wanted to tease Nujiao. Unfortunately, what I awakened was the fire type, and at most, I only dealt with flowers and plants, right, Nujiao? Listening to the suggestive words, the shepherd's delicate and fair teeth lightly ground, and he immediately put on a show of intent to hit. Xu Yuheng, you know how to bully me. I'll fight with you. The two of them were playing and frolicking together again, and Nuxian watched them flirting and flirting again. To be honest, she really envies Xu Yuheng and Nujiao. At least both of them have awakened their magic, but she is particularly unlucky, becoming the kind of unlucky person who fails to awaken her magic without a single one. While envious, she also somewhat worried about their future. In her view, the Mu family was a behemoth, and under extreme emphasis on interests, the Mu family would inevitably interfere in their decisions in the future. Chapter 2. The Furious Emperor Yan Xingzi. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After daily molestation with hurting Nujiao, Xu Yuheng also said goodbye to sisters and returned home as darkness fell. Normally, Xu Yuheng is the last one to come back. Every time he gets home, Xu's father and mother are already tired of watching dog blood dramas together. Did Xiaoheng come back early today and have a pleasant time with his new classmates? The one who cares about these things is naturally Xu Yuheng's mother Luoyu. As for Xu Yuheng's father Xu Jining, he never said these things to Xu Yuheng. I didn't care about new classmates or anything like that, but Nujiao and I were assigned to the same class. It shouldn't be your fault, Mom. That's for sure. I personally explained it to your principal, otherwise it wouldn't be easy to divide you all together. After all, the Mu family does have some abilities in the Magic City area. Xu Yuheng sighed and said, so, the principal had an accident and the opening ceremony was cancelled directly. You really deserve to be my biological mother. What can Xu Yuheng say about his own biological mother, that the grandiose 3-series super-level mage bullies a high-level cultivator? Cough cough, Xiaoheng, you should also know that your mother is also doing it for your own good. You should also be more confident and take down that girl Nujiao as soon as possible. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Before giving you the awakening magic, I went to visit the shepherd's house. I also witnessed with my own eyes the botanical magic awakened by the girl Nujiao. In terms of the brightness of the crystal alone, her talent is indeed not low. Furthermore, she has excellent personal conduct, and in the future, I'm not sure how many boys will pursue her. Xiaoheng, you must have a sense of urgency. Xu Jining, holding his own daughter in law, gave a gentle smile and repeatedly reminded him to quickly take down Nujiao. I know now, dear parents. If there's nothing else, then I'll go to meditation. Compared to being so bold as to reason with the principal's biological mother Luoyu, Xu Jining's biological father makes Xu Yuheng speechless. How to say, since Xu Yuheng met Mu Nujiao, the Mu family, who was seen as extremely strict by others, has been visited by Xu Jining. Just like this time, the younger generation of the Mu family awakened magic in the Mu family estate. Who could have imagined that there would be Xu Jining, an outsider who didn't want to appear, also observing the ceremony. After dinner, as Xu Yuheng finished washing up and was about to step back to his own room, Xu Jining, the father, stood in front of him. Although your talent may not be enough, these 2 stardust magic tools were carefully selected by your grandfather. Don't disappoint his elderly expectations, practice to the middle level as soon as possible, and you can get them as soon as possible. Xu Yuheng's mind trembled and he nodded heavily. I know now, I will definitely get that thing. After patting his son's shoulder, Xu Jining also said gently, just know, don't put too much pressure. Although you can't absorb spiritual seeds now, having Emperor Yan means you will have a strong affinity for that thing. Just do your best. After the explanation was completed, Xu Jining didn't say much. He had always been very open-minded. Sometimes in life, there must be something, and there must be no time in life. If it really didn't happen, no matter how hard he tried, he would only end up with nothing. Unlike Xu Jining, Xu Yuheng was not very calm when he returned to his room, mainly because the thing at home was really irresistible. Above the control of Xingzi, he certainly needs to have a certain degree of awkwardness, but he will not relax in his meditation. Perhaps it is also due to the bonus of the soul from a previous life, and his spiritual power is much stronger than that of his peers. In terms of specific division, it should be close to the second realm, and some high-level mages are like this. It can be said that just in terms of spiritual strength, Xu Yuheng has already reached a peak that many people can't match since he was born. His meditation time has doubled compared to others, reaching a full 10 hours. Even without the assistance of Stardust magic tools, he is an absolute genius. Without any distractions in his heart, Xu Yuheng quickly entered the realm of meditation with all his heart and soul. 7 stars appeared in the sea of consciousness, resembling a bright sun. Compared to other people's stars, Xu Yuheng's stars are somewhat different, although they also exhibit a surrounding state. But they never escape like other people's stars, and they always directly resist Xu Yuheng's control. Trying to control the first star that had not yet been completely controlled, Xu Yuheng gritted his teeth and said, "It's truly Emperor Yan. This temper is not something that ordinary stars can compare to. Others only need to catch the star to be able to control it, but he is different. Before catching the star, he still needs to tidy up the Emperor's flame star obediently." After spending a night of effort, Xu Yuheng took a look at his proficiency panel. Host. Xu Yuheng Legal System. Fire Spirit Seed. Emperor Flame, gifted by newcomers, can continuously enhance power and increase various effects by devouring spirit seeds, soul seeds, etc. Magic. Currently unavailable star control. First one, 10 out of 100, there is indeed a harvest. If it weren't for the proficiency of the panel, Xu Yuheng would have seriously suspected that he could not control Emperor Yan's star sun completely. As Xu Yuheng had predicted before, after 10 hours of meditation a day, he could improve his proficiency by 5. Mastering a star in 20 days is not fast, as controlling a star becomes increasingly difficult as the progress progresses. Although not outstanding at the beginning, his advantage is reflected when others get stuck in the 6th and 7th stars. Although the acquisition of proficiency may also decrease, progress can also be seen every day, right? At the thought of this, Xu Yuheng's mood was particularly beautiful. After eating the delicious breakfast prepared by his mother Luoyu, Xu Yuheng walked to the next door as usual. The only one living here has always been Mu Nujiao, and her family is at Mu's manor on the outskirts of Mo. At most, they come to visit her on Saturdays and Sundays. When Xu Yuheng walked to the door, Mu Nujiao, who was holding a piece of toast and bread in her mouth, walked out of the villa. Her usually watery eyes were a bit hazy. "Ah, I really hate going to school. How come holidays pass so quickly?" "Yeah, someone can sleep at home for another day during the holiday. Xu Yuheng naturally corrected the slightly crooked ponytail tied by Nujiao, and then nodded with satisfaction, let's go. The spirited pastoral slave stretched lazily and walked along the road with Xu Yuheng, chatting aimlessly before quickly arriving at the school. The two of them arrived very early, and there were not many people in the class. Nujiao, who had already been forcefully energized, was a bit drowsy. Just as she was about to lie on the table for a while, she felt her ponytail tighten. Looking back, the shepherd slave looked at Xu Yuheng with a sorrowful expression, as if he didn't give an explanation, it would be as if he had never finished. Xu Yuheng pushed a palm-sized box in front of her and said, I've prepared it for you, let's see if you like it. For Xu Yuheng's gifts, Nujiao has received many. In the past, they were only small gifts and there were no extravagant things. She naturally received them with peace of mind, as she had already developed friendships with Xu Yuheng. This time, she thought it was just some delicate little things as usual, but she didn't think much and just slapped Xu Yuheng in front of her. But at the first glance at the items in the box, Nujiao's expression changed and she decisively closed the box. Yuheng, how could you do this? This is a spiritual level star-dust magic weapon, and you should know the value of this thing. Of course, it was because I knew that I gave it to you. As I have said before, I have been thinking of you all along. The Nujiao shook her head and said, that's not enough. This thing is too precious, you take it back. As the eldest lady of the Mu family, Nujiao still has a discerning eye. The spirit-level star-dust magic weapon in the box is definitely a top-notch product. This kind of thing has always been valuable but not marketable, and is much more precious than ordinary spirit-level star-dust magic weapons. It is impossible to win without having 8 digits or more. About 7 million yuan at the ordinary level, although she thought she had a good impression of Xu Yuheng, the two of them had always been in a state of friendship and had no substantive relationship. How could she feel embarrassed to accept such a precious gift from Xu Yuheng? Xu Yuheng didn't say much and grabbed the fair and soft palm of Nujiao with one hand. Nujiao, do you think we are friends? Yes, but even friends shouldn't have given such precious things. The fair and delicate face of the herdsman flashed with a slight blush, and his voice became quieter and quieter as he spoke. Gently pinching the tender palm of the herdsman, Xu Yuheng said in a cold voice, that's right. Out of concern for friends, this is something I lent you. When you break through the middle level, you can keep it for me. You also know that those people in your family are all profit-oriented creatures, and they may invest some resources in you, which will be the fundamental threat to you. Nujiao fell silent directly, just as Xu Yuheng said. Mu Shi is a beneficial creature, and someone like her with good looks and without the strength of a high-level mage, she has no qualification to have a formal conversation with Mu Shi and can only be manipulated. The price of lacking strength is to obey all the arrangements of the Mu family. The filth and darkness involved have been a concern for the Mu family since Nujiao only saw the tip of the iceberg. Of course, even if Mu Shi cannot grasp the handle, there is still a possibility of being reckless and entangled. But if that's the case, it would really tear my face apart. That's what Xu Yuheng is most willing to see. When it comes to fighting, their family won't be afraid of just one Mu clan. Okay, but if you give this to me, wouldn't you be fighting for the school's reward? The concern in the gentle voice of the herdsman grew stronger, but Xu Yuheng smiled and took out a star-dust magic weapon that was no less impressive than before. For a moment, Nujiao was also a bit confused. In her impression, Xu Yuheng's family only had a few small goals at most, which could be considered as having limited financial resources. However, if she wanted to obtain this top-notch spiritual level star-dust magic weapon, she didn't just need to have money. Chapter 3. A Green Kiss. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Compared to the monopoly on capital, the monopoly on resources is even more terrifying. Just like the two spiritual-level top-notch stardust magic tools that Xu Yuheng presented, in the eyes of Nujiao, they are completely beyond the reach of Xu Yuheng's family. At least in the Magic City, she didn't hear her family say that the magic tool master had made a spirit-level stardust magic tool. If it is said to be sold by other forces, it is even more impossible. This thing is not something that one person will discard after using it. It is usually inherited by one force's heritage. If we have really reached the point of selling spiritual-level stardust magic tools, it indicates that the power of that side may be on the verge of extinction. After a moment of contemplation, Nujiao felt that it was not impossible. In her impression, Uncle Xu, who looked very elegant, had always had good luck. If he couldn't guarantee success, he would encounter an unlucky power that went bankrupt, and coincidentally, he would miss these two spiritual-level stardust magic weapons. Of course, she also suspected that the Xu family had hidden identities, but when she thought about her many years of being a neighbor of the Xu family, she thought she naturally knew a lot about the Xu family. The bloody plot of hiding wealthy families should not happen to her. The soft and slender jade hand tightly grasped the stardust magic tool given to her by Xu Yuheng, as peaceful and gentle as a shepherd's slave, feeling as if her heart was in chaos. Amidst the surging currents of the Mu family in the depths, she was more sober than anyone else and more aware that there has never been anything better in this world for no reason. Xu Yuheng's ulterior motives towards her have long been nothing new. If someone were to pester her like this, she would have already said no and issued a good person card. But if it were Xu Yuheng, she felt that compared to the future family that may use her to bind the object of interest marriage, Xu Yuheng, who knew the root and bottom, was definitely the best choice. Yuheng. Thank you. The warm and tender voice of the pastoral slave also directly put away the stardust magic tool. Since childhood, she has been an obedient girl in her family. Now, under the instigation of Xu Yuheng, she has rebellious thoughts and wants to struggle to break free from the imprisonment of the Mu family. Xu Yuheng took advantage of the situation and placed a finger on the slender shoulder of the Mu Nu, pointing to his cheek that was leaning over him. Since we want to thank you, it's better to be more sincere, he said with a green and fair pretty face. There was an unusual blush. The shepherd's delicate teeth lightly ground and he spat softly. You knew you were bullying me, and encountering you was also my misfortune. A girl as smart as Nujiao, how could she not understand that Xu Yuheng was teasing her, but she also followed the other person's wishes or her own inner choices. Glancing around the classroom, several students were lying on the table to catch their sleep. Nujiao calmed down for a moment, and her soft and rosy cherry lips leaned towards Xu Yuheng's cheek. As Nujiao leaned forward, Xu Yuheng's nose could feel the unique fragrance from Nujiao's body. Nujiao seemed to be a bit nervous, and Xu Yuheng could feel her heavy breathing on his cheeks. The slight warmth made him feel a bit itchy. After all, she was still a young girl. Nujiao was very shy in Xu Yuheng's eyes. If her cherry lips were like a dragonfly skimming water, she lightly touched his cheek and slowly retreated. The soft and warm touch disappeared at a touch, and Xu Yuheng felt somewhat lost. It was just too fast just now. Turning his head, Xu Yuheng happened to see Nujiao's shy and increasingly rosy pretty face, and his thoughts of continuing to flirt with the girl in front of him temporarily extinguished in his heart. Most of the morning's classes were focused on magic theory and essential courses on identifying monsters and monsters. Especially in demon identification, because for thousands of years humans have always been at a disadvantage in their confrontation with demons, it can be said that this is the most important course besides magic itself. In the afternoon, it became much easier, and Mo Du No. 1 High School arranged for students to practice independently. After 1 year, when some students are able to control the 7 stars or directly release basic magic, they will be reassigned to different classes and sent teachers to guide the students in their cultivation progress. From then on, the school only issued some ordinary stardust magic tools to students who performed well in their studies for cultivation. Similar to the Mu family where Nujiao is located, most families grant the right to use Stardust magic tools shortly after their own children awaken their magic. In the 3 years of racing against time, a gap of 1 year is often a predetermined outcome. Although the vast majority of children from aristocratic families have ordinary-level Stardust magic weapons in their hands, there is also a 20% cultivation time bonus. According to a normal mage's meditation time of 5 hours per day, using ordinary-level magic tools will give an additional hour of meditation time per day. Over time, when their talents are similar, there can be a huge gap between the children of aristocratic families and ordinary people in just 1 year. Not to mention that a small portion of the children of aristocratic families hold spiritual-level Stardust magic weapons, with a cultivation time bonus of 40%. It can be said that as long as it is not a pig and its qualifications reach an average level, anyone who does not encounter a pervert like Xu Yuheng who can achieve 10 hours of cultivation time without using a Stardust magic weapon can stand out in the first level of cultivation. Using the Stardust magic tool given by Xu Yuheng, Nujiao attempted to meditate. She also felt the difference between the mortal-level Stardust magic tool given to her by her family and the spiritual-level Stardust magic tool given to her by Xu Yuheng. As soon as Xu Yuheng thought of taking advantage of her, the delicate and pretty face of the herdsman blushed again, whispering softly, "Bad guy, maybe having you is also my luck." Nujiao's magical talent is already very strong, and the spiritual-level Stardust magic tool has provided her with extraordinary help. Not only does it increase the cultivation time bonus by 20% compared to ordinary-level Stardust magic tools, but it can also nourish her plant-type Stardust, which is also very beneficial for the cultivation of spiritual power. Wearing the Stardust magic weapon on her snow-white and slender neck, and wearing it close in front of her, Nujiao took out the ordinary Stardust magic weapon gifted by her family and studied it for a long time. She had already made a decision in her heart, and some things would be showcased sooner or later. However, when she thought that Xu Yuheng had only just started practicing, Nujiao hesitated for a moment. It was only after seeing too many that she realized that the more condescending a person is, the less they have a bottom line, and she couldn't help but worry about Xu Yuheng. It's not the time yet, but we still have time. Let's work hard together. The worries in Nujiao's heart may not be understood by Xu Yuheng, who had completely ignored Shi. He is currently in the control stage of the Star Child and needs to be moderately controlled every day. Apart from that, he spends the rest of his time focusing on another matter. He gradually regained his memories of his past life at the age of 8 and also picked up his old profession. Research in biology and medicine is also extremely important for his future development. If we can combine the expertise and traditional medicine of our past lives with the magical elements of this world, it will inevitably burst into a different brilliance. You should know that even in this era of rampant magic, there are still people like Feng Zhoulong. Chapter 4. Zhao Menyan's Call. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After the start of school, Xu Yuheng always felt that time passed slowly in his regular campus life, but in the blink of an eye, it was already over 3 months. As Xu Yuheng had guessed before, the proficiency controlled by his star sub is fixed. Regardless of the number of star sub, each control will bring a fixed proficiency bonus. Although his proficiency increases and decreases every day, he has still controlled 5 Emperor Flame star sub in the past 3 months. In contrast, Nujiao, who had the bonus of spiritual-level Stardust magic tools, managed to control the 5th Star Child only yesterday. After all, in terms of cultivation speed alone, she is also one of the most talented among humans besides the disaster victims. However, Nujiao, who was under pressure in her heart, was not like Xu Yuheng. In order to seize the opportunity to control her own destiny, she had never slackened at all. Although she has been lagging behind Xu Yuheng in her efforts to cultivate, Nujiao has never felt any unwillingness or envy. Instead, she writes a few lines of beautiful characters with labels every day to inspire Xu Yuheng. There were a few times when she went all out, especially a few days after the start of school, on Xu Yuheng's birthday, she was confused and almost gave herself away as she celebrated Xu Yuheng's birthday with Xu's parents. After that time, she also deliberately distanced herself from Xu Yuheng for several days, but later she gradually became accustomed to the intimacy between her and Xu Yuheng that had long exceeded that of friends. Of course, during these more than 3 months, Xu Yuheng was not really slacking off. Apart from controlling the stars, his speed of improvement in other aspects is quite rapid. Especially in the current world of plants and minerals, as well as the application of demon materials, he has gained a certain degree of understanding and is able to provide his own insights. Xu's father, who was once a Longmen student in Fengzhou, can no longer answer some of the questions he raised, especially some micro-level understanding. After some cognitive verification, Xu Yuheng also understood that even if there were supernatural beings like magic and demons in this world, the basic aspects were not much different from his previous life. As for the point of thermal weapons, it is entirely possible that it is due to the operation of world rules and the conscious guidance of world consciousness. But this is completely difficult for Xu Yuheng, as normal thermal weapons have no effect. He can also use different reagents to achieve the explosive effect of thermal weapons. Don't ask him why this happened. Can he say that the laboratory explosion was the result of his experimental negligence? In addition to gaining a certain understanding of the current world's creatures, Xu Yuheng also replicated the medicinal baths used to boil the body during martial arts practice in his previous life, as well as the ointments used to heal injuries from falls and injuries. The main issue is that the two worlds have a high frequency and the effectiveness of drugs is not significantly different. Otherwise, even traditional Chinese medicine like Xu Yuheng would find it difficult to achieve such changes in almost universal prescriptions. Coincidentally, the company they operate on the surface is specialized in the business of ordinary people's medicines, such as ointments for treating falls and injuries. Xu Yuheng gave it all to his father Xu Jining for him to take care of. As for the true secret of his medical and martial arts lineage from his past life, the precious medicinal herbs on the prescription used to boil his body were easily obtained through channels from his hometown in northeast China. The shepherd slave, like a frightened little beast, looked at the bubbles and strange-smelling ink medicine in the large bathtub with a pitiful expression in her eyes. "Yuheng, are you sure this dark thing is really used to improve physical fitness, not to murder me?" Xu Yuheng lightly smiled and pressed down on Mu Nujiao's shoulder. "Jiao, as the good man said, one must endure hardships before becoming a superior person. Mu Yi is not as good as you, but his position in the Mu family is still higher than yours. Although he is your brother, are you really willing and don't want those people like Mu Shi to look at him differently? Don't you want to hit the faces of those old members of the Mu family, including your grandfather? Hard Xu Yuheng is actually a science student, and his PUA skills are really low." If it weren't for taking care of Xu Yuheng's feelings, Mu Nujiao would have interrupted him long ago. Glancing at the dark liquid in the bathtub again, Mu Nujiao took a deep breath and said, "You're right, I can't let anyone underestimate me. Also, you should go out now." Mu Nujiao pushed Xu Yuheng with a pair of jade hands, pushing him directly out of his villa. He quickly closed the door, and a layer of red light rose on his fair and jade-like cheeks. "Bad guy, you're so concerned, how could I refuse? If I really break free from the constraints of the Mu family in the future, I still want to stay by your side." The medicine that Xu Yuheng brought to boil his body may seem quite penetrating, but Mu Nujiao never considered rejecting Xu Yuheng's kindness. Although she is usually gentle, her heart is persistent and stubborn. From the moment she recognized Xu Yuheng, she was no longer the eldest lady of the Mu family. Moreover, this young lady is just a vase cultivated by Mu Shi. Her dear grandfather Xingzi is not just a son like her father, but it is only her father who can make a name for himself on the surface. That is to say, the noble and dignified family like the Mu family, which operates in the world, still needs face to maintain the reputation of the family. The so-called clear reputation is the most important thing they value besides their own honor and disgrace. But that's it. If the young lady of the pastoral family doesn't perform well or doesn't meet Mu Zhanqing's wishes, she will always be defeated by Mu Zhanqing. At its root, one cannot escape the two words of strength. Fist is the ultimate manifestation of power in this bizarre world. The extremely conservative Mu Nujiao also closed all the doors and windows, took off her clothes, and according to Xu Yuheng's instructions, lay down in a bathtub filled with medicinal liquid. Under the bone and heart-wrenching pain, she gritted her silver teeth and persevered hard at the same time. Xu Yuheng, who was driven out of the villa by Mu Nujiao, received a familiar phone call. The caller ID only showed no name, only 3 uppercase English letters, ATM. At the moment of answering the phone, Xu Yuheng was also quick-witted and blurted out, "ATM, what's up with you? I'm XXXX, Xu hey, you guy. In your eyes, I'm just a talking smart ATM." Xu Yuheng pondered and spoke back, "The ATM is indeed correct, but the intelligence is not right. If it were intelligent, it would be difficult for me to withdraw money from you. Alright, Zhao Manyan, if you have anything to say, just let me know. I won't lie to you anymore, can't I?" Who else could be called an ATM by Xu Yuheng, besides Zhao Manyan, who was scammed out of pocket money by Xu Yuheng in various ways since childhood? Zhao Manyan fell silent for a moment on the phone. "Can you return the pocket money you cheated me on when I was a child? Does this question make sense? Why don't I tell my grandfather to come and visit your house?" Xu Yuheng raised his eyebrows, unable to tell. It had only been a few months since we last saw each other, and Zhao Manyan dared to ask him for money. Zhao Manyan across from him quickly shook his head and said, "There's no need. I'm calling you to tell you that you're in trouble and a few idiots are watching you." Chapter 5. Becoming Magic City Clan. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. I'm not very familiar with the circle between you. Let's hear which cute ones you are. Xu Yuheng frowned, and those who could make Zhao Manyan call him foolish and lacking were naturally not ordinary people. The entire demon city was only composed of those from several major families. The Zhao family was the first to rule out that regardless of whether they knew Xu Yuheng's true background, their family itself was a financial family and not famous for magic. In my hometown, Zhao is generally responsible for the acquisition of some raw materials, and Zhao has never publicly disclosed any connection with the Xu family. Actually, it's quite normal. Who would be willing to expose a network before it reaches a critical moment? Zhao Manyan, who was leaning on the other side, didn't know what to say. He remembered Xu Yuheng calling him that when he was a child, he used to make money out of him. He was cute. Zhao Manyan silently mourned for a second for the 2 foolish shortcomings he had mentioned before, and immediately replied, "Bai Cangfeng from the Bai family, Dongfang Lang and Dongfang Qingqing from the Dongfang family in Hangzhou, and the Mu family have also arrived. It is your future uncle, Mu Yi. However, the people of the Mu family shouldn't be as simple as bothering you. Su Haizi, you may have been eliminated." Xu Yuheng didn't pay much attention, but he believed that what Zhao Manyan said was absolutely true. Perhaps within the original timeline, the influence of the Mu clan leaning towards the protagonist Mo fan did not describe those dark sides. But the crows in the world are generally black, and even if the Mu family in the north cannot compare, the bottom of their buttocks will not be clean. Being able to sit in the positions of the 4 major aristocratic families in the demon capital, their feet must also be covered in corpses and blood seas. Xu Yuheng gave a cold smile and said, "If I hadn't cared about her, I would have been able to dignify that old man named Mu Zhanqing today. However, thank you very much for your intelligence. Since they dare to come and cause trouble, they must cooperate and make these young masters and ladies happy." Zhao Manyan, who was carrying a phone on his shoulder and preparing to talk to the 2 ladies next to him about some intimate things, felt a pain in his lower back. "Big brother, you can do your best to make them famous, just leave it to me." On the other side, Xu Yuheng hung up the phone, and Zhao Manyan casually let go of the 2 little sisters who had some grievances. His eyes showed excitement. "In the past few months, there has been nothing wrong with the demon, like stagnant water. But if someone surnamed Su takes action, there will be some excitement to watch. The Dongfang and Bai families have something to eat. As for the Mu family, with the relationship of Mu Nujiao, Zhao Manyan didn't expect the Mu family to make any jokes. The conversation between the two didn't last long, and Mu Nujiao still lay in the bathtub filled with medicine, gritting her teeth and persevering. There's no other way, usually starting from a young age when suffering from physical abuse. Mu Nujiao is getting older, and Xu Yuheng can only use a powerful medicine to help Mu Nujiao make up for the lack of time. This world is full of demons, and it is not so difficult to obtain those precious medicinal herbs. It is not difficult to find them in Xu Yuheng's hometown. If placed in the environment of the past life, these medicinal herbs would be difficult to gather even with money and connections. Time passed quickly, and the pastoral slave Zhao, with her wet long hair scattered, opened the door and whispered, "Yuheng, come in first. I have something I want to tell you." There was an indescribable sense of disappointment in Mu Nujiao's tone, probably because the development of their super friendship during this period had already led Mu Shi to come forward and warn Mu Nujiao. Leading Xu Yuheng into the living room, Mu Nujiao turned her head, and before she could speak, she was held down by Xu Yuheng's shoulder, with some confusion in her moist and beautiful eyes. "Nujiao, how did you feel just now?" Mu Nujiao, who had a delicate mind and knew Xu Yuheng very well, immediately noticed that Xu Yuheng was changing the topic, but she didn't interrupt. Instead, she said with a hint of resentment, "You said, it hurts me so much. I didn't feel much about enhancing my physique, but I felt a lot lighter on my body." It's not easy to see the effect of physical exercise in a short period of time, but if you persist in soaking the medicine every day in the future, you will definitely be several times stronger than your peers' physical strength. Listening to Xu Yuheng's advice, Mu Nujiao obediently nodded and said, "I know now. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this." The physique of a mage is naturally a fatal flaw, which is also the biggest gap between human forbidden spells and demon emperors. Being able to enhance their physique several times is to let forbidden spells know, and it is estimated that they will be coveted. Having already identified Xu Yuheng, she naturally wouldn't cause trouble for him. She shouldn't have said a word. Xu Yuheng smiled and nodded, "Okay, it's getting late. I'll leave first." "What's the rush?" "You forgot, I still have something to tell you." Mu Nujiao intercepted Xu Yuheng in time, with a hint of concern in her tone. "Yuheng, our relationship has already been noticed by our family. You must be careful lately, they may take action against you. Don't go anywhere else except school, even if you go to school, you must come with me. Another thing is to ask uncles and aunties not to go out these days." Xu Yuheng listened patiently, and could only say that he was truly a shepherd servant. The nickname of the thoughtful big cotton jacket was not for nothing. For Xu Yuheng, Mu Nujiao is indeed considerate enough, but for Mu Shi, there is a bit of a black cotton potential. In short, I must be careful during this period. As long as we temporarily maintain a certain distance and no longer have such intimacy, my brother will not make things difficult for me. Xu Yuheng nodded heavily and said, "I know, but I didn't expect your family to be so sensitive." The herdsman coquettishly rolled his eyes at Xu Yuheng and said, "Why, do you regret offending me?" "How could that be possible, but since uncle is coming over, I also have to welcome him, right?" Xu Yuheng joked and said, "Damn you." After playing around for a while, Xu Yuheng left Mu Nujiao's villa and returned to his own home. As usual, Su's mother was watching a cruel drama while Su's father walked over to the table with an enamel basin. "Not bad, not bad. I've been having a hot fight with the little girl from the Mu family lately. Wash your hands and have a meal. Come and try your cousin's skills. Your cousin finally came to the Magic City. If you have time these days, take your cousin out for a walk." Upon hearing this, Xu Yuheng instinctively looked towards the position in the kitchen at home. Coincidentally, a tall young man with short hair spikes and a gentle appearance walked out with a smile on his face. It was Xu Yuheng, the son of his uncle Xu Yiming's family. Xu Yuheng's eyes lit up, and he was really dozing off to give a pillow. He was thinking about how to concoct his uncle's brother, so he had a helper. Xu Yuheng, whose mind was impure, had a bright smile on his face that exuded a scholarly aura. "Don't worry, I will take good care of my cousin," he said. Chapter 6. Follow in the dark, those who come are not good, seeking recommendation, seeking collection. You are listening at novel-full.audio. Yuheng, what you're saying is to let me concoct your uncle, isn't that too good? Xu Yuheng was also a bit confused. He knew that his cousin had no good intentions, but he didn't expect Xu Yuheng to let him deal with Mu Yi. Thinking that Xu Yuheng was hesitating, Xu Yuheng lightly pushed the flat glasses on the bridge of his nose and smiled politely. "Don't worry, as long as you come for some inexplicable reason, I don't think they will know. Moreover, even if discovered, it's not a big deal. The Mu clan is an authentic clan, and they are all profit-oriented creatures from top to bottom. Believe it or not, as long as the price you offer is high enough, any member of the Mu family can be sacrificed by their own people at any time." On this point, Xu Yuheng did not doubt it. "Yuheng, since you know that Mu Shi would be like this, why are you still so persistent with that girl from Mu Shi? You are also a handsome young man from our village. With your talent, there are many people in our area who want to marry you." Xu Yuheng's face stiffened slightly. "I have my thoughts, so you don't have to worry, brother. Alright, hurry up and go out. The little girl is already waiting for you outside the door." Xu Yuheng quickly put on his coat and didn't pay any attention to Xu Yuheng anymore. He ran out of the house and headed towards the direction of Enchanted City 1 with Mu Nujiao. Watching the two of them leave, Xu Yuheng sighed and said, "Father is right. Yuheng is too similar to Uncle Heir, and his literary style is nothing more than a scumbag. Uncle Heir, you should have." Ah. Xu's father Xu Jining, who had a face 7 times similar to Xu Yuheng's and a much more scholarly aura, personally dusted Xu Yuheng's clothes. "Xiao Zong, you got up quite early. You should take care of Xiao Heng more these days. Uncle Heir is also here to thank you," he said. "Yes, Uncle Heir, I will definitely take good care of Xiao Heng. Could you please be gentle when you go back, Uncle Heir? My dad can't help but hit him." Xu Jining just smiled and didn't say anything. Xu Yuheng, who seemed to accept his fate, transformed into a black shadow and disappeared before Xu's father's eyes, but his heart was not to mention how uncomfortable it was. That's right, Xu Jining wouldn't take action against a younger generation like Xu Yuheng, but he can hit Xu Yuheng's biological father Xu Jiming and can't find him. Xu Jiming felt aggrieved in his younger brother's hands, and naturally felt a surge of anger in his heart. This anger was meant to be vented, and as his own son, Xu Yuheng unfortunately became the vent of his anger. Sometimes, Xu Yuheng admires his second uncle very much. Not only is his strength strong, but his brain melon seeds are also so effective. His father grew up under the shadow of his second uncle from childhood to adulthood. Nowadays, Xu Yuheng also showed him the shadow of his second uncle, but he was still quite fortunate in his heart. "I'm glad I'm 10 years older than Xu Yuheng and still a high-level cultivator," otherwise Xu Yuheng, who was driving a reclusive movie, felt a sense of relief. He finally realized the benefits of being old and didn't have to worry about being abused by his younger brother like his father for a lifetime. Xu Yuheng secretly followed Xu Yuheng and Mu Nujiao and soon arrived at the first-grade classroom. Not long after, Rong Wensheng, as the homeroom teacher, walked in with 2 boys, 2 girls, and 4 students. While everyone was silently practicing or studying, Rong Wensheng clapped his hands and said, "Classmates, I have something to tell you first. These students have transferred to our school, and the school has arranged them in our class. Welcome new students." Under the guidance of Rong Wensheng, all the students in the first class were applauding to show their welcome. The students in Class 1, whether or not they sincerely welcomed the arrival of the 4, received enthusiastic applause. But the few people standing behind Rong Wensheng, except for the short and broad-minded girl at the front, the remaining 2 men and 1 woman looked unfriendly. The 3 of them had a haughty expression and their eyes kept scanning the class. At the end of the sparse applause, Rong Wensheng also planned to let a few people find a seat first, but he never expected to be stopped by a thin boy. "All right, it's none of your business, go on the side. I, Bai Zongfen, came here to look for someone." If that person had self-awareness, I believe they should have stepped forward now. "That's right, we also want to get to know each other. Which of you is Xu Yuheng's classmate? Our Dongfang family is a fire-related family, and we are also very welcoming to Xu Yuheng." The person who said this was another boy. Xu Yuheng had already guessed his identity, Dongfang Lang. What the other party said, Xu Yuheng also understood what was going on. It was likely that the person coming was not kind. It's not easy for him to say about the thing in his family. After all, it does have great temptation for the demonic and numerous aristocratic families in Linen who do not have forbidden spells. Xu Yuheng understood the forbidden curse. Even though the water was deep, it still couldn't stop people's desire for its realm. Mo-do No. 1 Middle School is a key high school within Mo-do. Except for a small number of children from aristocratic families, there are no simple students who can enter here. From Dongfeng Lang's attitude, they also perceive some special flavors. Xu Yuheng, who was not from a noble family background, was able to control his speed and stand on par with Nujiao, who came from the Mu family. This only proves that his talent is very good, and he should not be treated so well by so many young masters and ladies from noble families. As for the fact that Xu Yuheng's awakened magical attribute is a fire type, it is not a secret, and it is not surprising that Dongfang Lang came up with a wave of solicitation. If he becomes successful, he will really make a fortune. Regarding this, Xu Yuheng also had to sigh. The aristocratic family in big cities, the news is really sensitive. "I am Hida, how could I make a few of you treat each other so well?" Everyone's gaze was on Xu Yuheng, and Nujiao wanted to stand up and say something, but was stopped by Xu Yuheng's gaze. Dongfang Qingqing, who came with Dongfang Lang, slightly raised her lips and a smile appeared on her delicate face. "That thing is not something that ordinary people can have, it's just that we Dongfang clan are all eager for it. That's why we invited you to join us. We can provide you with appropriate resources for cultivation. You should also be aware that being a mage is a profession that burns money. Your family has good financial conditions, and at most, that amount of funds can only support you to reach higher levels. But if you want to join our Dongfang family, it will be very different." Bai Zongfeng also coldly said. "The same goes for Bai Shi. As long as you are loyal, everything is easy to say, but the condition is that you must give that thing to us." Bai Shi. Gently pushing the flat glasses on the bridge of his nose, Xu Yuheng shook his head and said, "I consider myself a genius, but it's not worth it for you young masters and ladies to come and recruit me in person. It's more like coming to our house. So, don't even pretend, just say whatever happens. I'm not a pure shepherd, I'm holding back to show it to anyone." Chapter 7. Broad-mindedness, Attu. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Dongfang Lang clapped his hands and said, very good, truly worthy of our Dongfang family's admiration. But now is not the time to say these things on this occasion. We need to have a good private discussion about our affairs, right? Speaking so, but in reality, it is also a vivid display of the pride of the children of one's own family. In Dongfang Lang's eyes, except for a few people, including Xu Yuheng and Nujiao, in this classroom, they are completely unqualified to have any relationship with the Dongfang family. To put it in the words of a general in the armor world, I am too lazy to explain to you that you don't deserve to listen. Following Dongfang Lang, Dongfang Qingqing's eyes fell on Xu Yuheng, and her smiling face made Nujiao quite unhappy. She wished she could slap her. Bai Zongfen didn't say much, he was much more proud than the two members of the Dongfang family. Passing by Xu Yuheng's side, he only gave him a disdainful glance. But he didn't know, it was his gaze that completely insulated him from the world of wizards after being cast into the Magic City one previously. Rong Wensheng, as the homeroom teacher, had a somewhat unpleasant expression when he was forcefully interrupted by the students, but he dared not say anything more. After all, in this bizarre magical world, regardless of which faction, the family is basically the main body. The surnames Dongfang and Bai hold too much weight in the Magic City, to the extent that they can influence any faction outside of Ningxue Academy. Just as Rong Wensheng was planning to save his face, the girl who had been following him, who was developing too much, turned her agile eyes and greeted everyone in the class with a smile. "Hello everyone, my name is Ada Tuesday. For some reason, I specifically transferred to our Magic City No. 1 middle school. I hope all of you will take good care of me in the future." Xu Yuheng, wearing a flat mirror, also instinctively looked towards the somewhat exaggerated part of Ada Tuesday. He could only say that he truly deserved to be you, Ada Tuesday. Although I don't know how broad Adu will be 3 years from now, the current capital cannot be underestimated. Relatively speaking, Nujiao is just beginning to take shape, and the gap compared to Ada 2 is quite significant. Of course, Ada 2 has this talent, but Nujiao is not very old now and there is still room for further development. If possible, Xu Yuheng seemed lost in thought, his gaze natural and effortless as he passed over Nujiao's body, silently calculating in his heart. However, despite the arrival of the Dongfang and Bai families, they have definitely been unable to calm down recently. After the morning magic theory and demon identification course, Xu Yuheng walked to the restroom. This is one of the few surveillance blind spots in Magic City No. 1 middle school. After Xu Yuheng entered and realized that there was no one around, he also leaned against the wall. Immediately after, he was enveloped by a black shadow, and it was precisely he who followed Xu Yuzong in the dark. The high-ranking and round shadow calmly led Xu Yuheng into the shadow. After a moment, Xu Yuheng reappeared in place, and as for what he had explained, only Xu Yuzong knew. The afternoon meditation and self-cultivation courses are generally relatively free and do not necessarily have to be in the classroom. But Xu Yuheng has always been quite disciplined. Since he can practice in the classroom, he naturally won't run around. When he returned to the classroom, there were unexpected guests. Nujiao, who was sitting at the table in front of Xu Yuheng, was not there. Ai Tutu, who had just arrived, happened to be sitting in Nujiao's seat and looked at Xu Yuheng with some curiosity. "Xu Yuheng, I didn't expect you to have a lot of courage. Before, I thought you just had a good impression of Mu's sister, and I didn't expect stains. What, do you think I can't do it?" Ada too shook his head decisively and said, "How could Mu sure possibly stop you? But I don't understand. If you really want to be with Mu's sister, it's just a matter of making your old man use his leg skills. How could it be so troublesome? Of course, I don't understand why Uncle Jining accompanies you in mischief, but I know you're definitely having some bad idea. After all, when I came to the Magic City, my grandfather also told me to be careful of you, and even more so, be careful of Uncle Xu." Xu Yuheng was somewhat helpless, feeling completely implicated by his father's reputation. He was a refined and elegant young man, but how could he become a big bad wolf in someone else's mouth? It's all because he performed too well when he was a child, causing too much negative impact on the innocent big rabbit. "Alright, Tutu, I can't even get busy with you, Sister Mu. I don't have time to talk to you for now. Tell me, where did my uncle take Nujiao?" Upon hearing this, the heartless rabbit instinctively breathed a sigh of relief and said, "The library, it's just a secluded place, but you should be careful." Xu Yuheng didn't pay any attention to Adu anymore, waved his hand at her, and walked straight out. "Humph, you really overestimate yourself." Bai Zongfeng, who was also in the classroom, was also disturbed. He, who had not experienced any setbacks, was naturally proud and had a strong sense of superiority towards non-aristocratic individuals like Xu Yuheng. It cannot be denied that Bai Zongfeng also wanted to pick the delicate flower of Mu Shi, and his hostility towards Xu Yuheng was inevitable. Dongfang Lang and Dongfang Qingqing exchanged a curious glance, feeling quite puzzled. They, like Bai Zongfen, were just following orders from their elders to get in touch with Xu Yuheng and not really trying to recruit him. As for what their family's intentions are, this should not be something that younger generations like them can know. Mu Yi from the Mu family came not only for the matter of Mu Nujiao, but also for the same purpose as the Eastern and White families, to contact Xu Yuheng as one of the four major families of the Magic City. Due to the relationship with Mu Nujiao, Mu Yi is different from Bai Zongfen and Dongfang Lang in terms of natural advantage bonuses. At the moment of meeting Xu Yuheng, he did not directly use the identity of the Mu family to suppress Xu Yuheng, the son of a wealthy businessman from a small family. The older Mu Yi blocked Mu Nujiao from behind and greeted Xu Yuheng with a smile. "Hello Xu, I am Mu Yi, Nujiao's brother. You can also call me Mu De Gu." Under his flat glasses, Xu Yuheng had a gentle smile on his slightly scholarly face. "Master Mu has come, and Xu Yuheng has been greatly favored. Do you have any advice?" Although the tone was gentle, the blunt and polite address made Mu Yi hesitate for a moment. "It's nothing, it's just that there's something wrong with Nujiao lately. I want to get to know more about her," he said. "Also, I would appreciate it if you could introduce Uncle Xu to Yuheng. Considering your relationship with Nujiao, our Mu family is quite sincere. Could you please tell Uncle Xu about it?" Yuheng the Mu Nu, standing behind Mu Yi, clenched her fair palm tightly. She didn't expect the family to take advantage of her so quickly. "Although I had anticipated it earlier, I really don't know how to say the taste when it falls on me." Chapter 8. Meeting my grandmother's pastoral servant's charm, the fire rises for the first time. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. As winter approaches, it gets darker and earlier, even in southern cities like Magic City. Under the sunset, Xu Yuheng and Mu Nujiao walked on their way back. Mu Nujiao lowered her head and whispered, "I'm sorry, Yuheng. My brother is also doing things for the family. Although I don't know what exactly Uncle Xu has in his hand that can attract the attention of the three major clans at the same time, I think it's better to throw out the hot potato as soon as possible." Xu Yuheng's restless palm lightly grasped the long ponytail of the herdsman and chuckled lightly. "Why, is it difficult? I rejected your brother, and your family will kill me now." Mu Nujiao didn't say much, but she understood that once patience was worn away, Mu Shi would definitely be able to do such a shameless thing. "Don't worry, although aristocratic families are mainstream, it doesn't mean they can really run rampant. That thing is very hot to the hand, and it may be worn to go back soon." Xu Yuheng, who was playing with the delicate and smooth silk of the pastoral slave, casually said, "That thing was originally his family's, but after it fell into his father's hands, it was different. As he said, if others dare to touch their fingers, it's really who touches who dies." The villa of Xu Yuheng's family was further outside. When they returned, they had already finished their work for Xu Yuheng. Xu Yuzong, who had returned early, was already waiting for him at the door. "Who is that, your relative?" With her head tilted, Mu Nujiao looked at Xu Yuheng with some confusion. Xu Yuheng grabbed Mu Nujiao's slender wrist and said, "That's right, he's cousin Xu Yuzong." Xu Yuheng greeted Xu Yuzong from a distance, then grabbed Mu Nujiao and walked towards his own house, saying, "You usually eat light at home. This time, you should come to my house. My cousin is the chef in my hometown, so you should try his craft." "Hey! You, wait a moment." The Mu Nu was stunned for a moment, but before she could react, she was dragged to the door by Xu Yuheng. "Yuheng, you're back. This is your female classmate who has a good relationship, Mu Nujiao, right?" From Xu's father and Xu's mother's prior understanding of the situation, Xu Yuzong's words were somewhat meaningful, but also lacked a bit of abruptness. At least the shameless shepherd slave Zhao ran away. "That's right, it's Nujiao. She's the closest classmate to me." Being teased by Xu Yuheng, the fair and delicate face of the Mu Nu couldn't help but blush, and his voice was timid and somewhat reserved, saying, "Hello, Yuzong Tanggu, I also mentioned you to Yuheng." This is the first time we have met. I heard in my hometown that you have a good relationship with Yuheng. When we first met, just like Yuheng, you just called me cousin. Although he had done his homework, Xu Yuheng made Nujiao feel embarrassed again when he acted on the spot. The increasingly rosy face of the pastoral slave struggled to break free from Xu Yuheng's palm. Xu Yuheng also quickly said, "Got it, cousin. Tonight, you need to show your strength. A few hard dishes are the key." Seeing Xu Yuheng winking, Xu Yuzong hurriedly ran back into the house. Xu Yuheng hugged the gentle and tender body of the Nujiao and breathed gently in her ear, "What's wrong? You weren't so shy when you came to my house before." The slight heat in her ear made the Nujiao unable to stay in Xu Yuheng's arms. She bit her red lips lightly with her teeth and struggled again. But this was just a subconscious reaction from the Nujiao, who struggled symbolically and relied on Xu Yuheng's embrace. She let out a reproachful voice, "You know, we used to have a good relationship, but now it's not as good as before. Later, there will be Uncle Xu and Aunt Luo and others." Nujiao's tone gradually lowered, and Xu Yuheng finally understood that Nujiao, who was dragged over by him, had completely incorporated the setting of his wife meeting her in-laws. As a young and inexperienced girl, she naturally had to be as shy as possible. Sniffing the familiar fragrance, Xu Yuheng comforted the girl and said, "Don't worry, my parents really want me to officially take you home. Let's go." Just as Nujiao's head was still a mess, Xu Yuheng had already lightly embraced him into the Xu family's door. About 10 figures dressed in black also slowly walked out with a dull expression. The special pattern on their clothes was not exactly the emblem of the Mu clan. A young woman with a tall figure and an appearance of 20.9 or so, dressed in household attire, walked over with a smile and said, "Stinky kid, you've really grown up. The little girl from the Pak Mu family asked me to wipe your butt, just for the sake of your recent success. Otherwise, I really wouldn't bother with you, you little bunny." After speaking, the young woman also skillfully modified the memories of these pastoral family members and stepped into the Xu family's door with satisfaction. This young woman is none other than Xu Yuheng's biological mother, Luo Yu, who just looks young and is already running towards the fourth. Perhaps due to the presence of Nujiao, the family banquet that night was particularly lavish. Although Nujiao became much more shy, with the presence of Xu Mu, a spiritual and perfect mage, she quickly calmed down her mentality. Of course, if it weren't for her tightly holding onto Xu Yuheng's palm throughout the entire process, Xu Yuheng would have really thought she wasn't nervous at all. At the banquet, Xu's father and Xu's mother also gave some low-value meeting gifts to Nujiao, and promised that if Xu Yuheng bullied him, Nujiao could report to them at any time, which made Xu Yuheng, his own son, very resentful. Considering that the two of them still have to go to school tomorrow, the banquet at the Xu family did not last too long. Around 9 o'clock, Xu's father asked Xu Yuheng to send Nujiao back. After coming out of the Xu family, Nujiao was worried and had planned to deliberately distance herself from Xu Yuheng to dispel the family's thoughts, but she didn't expect a pair of moist eyes looked at Xu Yuheng with a hint of resentment. She now understood that her childhood sweetheart was not as simple as it seemed, as if there was something hidden from her. "Yuheng, can you tell me what my brother and his team's purpose is? And how much else are you hiding from me?" As Xu Yuheng watched the lively and charming Nujiao stand in front of him, he stretched out his arms and directly embraced her. This time, Nujiao did not struggle at all and actively hugged Xu Yuheng, her delicate face gently leaning against Xu Yuheng's embrace. "Nujiao, I know you will definitely have doubts. It's not convenient to tell you directly about that thing. I can only say that it's a shortcut that can help top-level mages break through the forbidden spell. Originally intended for fishing, I never expected that even the aristocratic families of the demon capital had no brains, and one by one licked their faces as they approached to throw stones and ask for directions to the mastermind behind the scenes. At this point, Xu Yuheng also felt a bit amused. The helmsmen of those aristocratic families either had their heads sandwiched between the door panels or their heads kicked by donkeys. How could that thing be something that a seemingly ordinary businessman with only a few small goals in value could obtain? Of course, some people still have more headaches, and Su's father quietly released the news of that thing just to help some people fish. The fishing plan has only been implemented for a few days, and before the fish caught the bait, it was stirred up by 3 of the 4 major families in the Magic City. This is definitely quite disturbing. Chapter 9. News from Mu Ningxue, Pearl's special move. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Host. Xu Yuheng Legal System. Fire Spirit Seed. Emperor Flame, gifted by newcomers, can continuously enhance power and increase various effects by devouring spirit seeds, soul seeds, etc. Magic. Level 1 Fire and Burning, Beginner, 1/100. After subduing all the Emperor Yan, Xu Yuheng himself never expected that he could release magic so smoothly. It has to be said that the cooperation of the stars is really important for magicians to release magic. With the bonus of proficiency system, Xu Yuheng's magic control is directly achieved in one step, without the need for further adjustment between stars like others. Just the process of adjustment that Xu Yuheng omitted can save at least half a month compared to others. It is extremely rare to save half a month of time during these 3 years of racing against time. Although Emperor Yan has not yet devoured any other spiritual species, his own power is also quite extraordinary. At least no one among beginner mages can suppress me. If it's a mid-level job, then it depends on who can earn more money. The mage profession really can't afford to be injured. Xu Yuheng felt a little disappointed, although he didn't start at the grassroots like Mo Fan, his family wasn't very wealthy either. His cultivation resources cannot rely on how much support his father and grandfather have for him, so he still needs to work hard on his own. However, that's it. He is much easier than Mo Fan. Apart from the magical bitches like Holy City and Pantheon, the human forces of those clans don't need to look at their faces at all. Very good. In just over 5 months, he controlled 7 stars and was able to release magic smoothly, which is not much different from your grandfather's time. A familiar voice rang out in the basement, and it was Su's father, Xu Yuheng. There was also cousin Xu Yuheng who followed him, completely resembling a small follower. Upon hearing the meaning behind Su's father's words, Xu Yuheng was quite surprised and said, "Dad, do you mean that Grandpa was even faster than me back then?" "Hee, Xiaoheng, you still underestimate the old man. You may not know that the old man was not a born spirit seed back then, but a born soul seed. His cultivation speed is naturally remarkable, and he can release magic in less than 5 months, which is somewhat faster than you." Xu Yuheng, who had not been in his hometown for a long time, did not know these things. The first time he heard about it, he realized that he seemed to underestimate his grandfather who drank and ate barbecue every day. How could such a harmless little old man in the village be a victim of the disaster? It's still a forbidden curse. Although Xu Yuheng doesn't know what kind of forbidden curse it is now, he understands that his old man is definitely not comparable to the half-pull forbidden curse claimed by the Mu family. Based on his family's fire lineage, Xu Yuheng speculates that his grandfather is highly likely a victim of the fire disaster, and most likely a fire-forbidden curse. According to the future arrogance of the Mu family, it is uncertain when he will encounter them. Xu Yuheng felt that his old man would definitely visit the Mu family one day. Now it's still winter vacation, and after such a long vacation, Mu Nujiao naturally returned to the Mu family. This is also the most important reason why Xu Yuheng can calm down and practice these days. Otherwise, according to his plan, he would have to wait until 7 months to break through completely. The winter vacation is about to pass, and Xu Yuheng has mastered the first-level magic. He is also more and more excited, waiting for the start of school and hoping for the girl next door to come back. However, Xu Yuheng waited until the day of school, and still did not wait for the return of the pastoral slave Zhao. Instead, he waited for other news. Firstly, the Mu family didn't know what they were thinking, and surprisingly, Mu Nujiao moved out of the Xu family's neighboring area and into a mid-range building not far from the Enchanted City No. 1 middle school. This has made Xu Yuheng somewhat frustrated. After all, in school, he cannot openly act on Mu Nujiao, can he? The first thing Xu Yuheng suspected of being able to do such a thing was Mu Yi, who had met him in the library that day and met him with a nose of dust. As for those who were secretly monitoring the people of the Mu family near his home, Xu Yuheng never paid attention to them. Those people have all had their corresponding memories deleted by his mother, and the Mu family alone cannot detect the problems on those people. Behind Mu Yi, there can only be Mu Zhanxing. Although the Mu family is already on a decline, this old man is quite hidden. Especially in that matter, even if Hua Zhanhong were to be involved, it would be quite intriguing. However, he was not very interested in what Mu Zhanxing was hiding, it was just that the old man's arrangement made him very unhappy. But even with this arrangement, he couldn't stop Xu Yuheng. Every morning after school, he still stayed with the pastoral slave Zhao, and the pastoral family didn't bother him anymore. After returning from school with Mu Nujiao, Xu Yuheng casually told her that he had already mastered the basic magic a few days ago. Mu Nujiao gently brushed the green silk in her ear and said with envy, "You truly deserve to be a born spirit. We ordinary people can't compare to you. You also have mastered all the stars, so it won't be long before you can release magic." Gently pinching the tender palm of the shepherd slave, Xu Yuheng comforted him softly. The shepherd slave gently shook his ponytail and smiled softly. "Anyway, thank you very much. In addition, a while ago, I also inquired about it while in the family. Mu Shi is indeed a genius with a natural ice-type spirit, and she is still a girl. It takes 7 months to release magic, which is much worse than you. However, she was recruited by the Imperial University the year before last when she woke up. Although Mu has put in a lot of effort, it has to be said that the girl's talent is indeed very good, at least better than mine." A pair of moist and clear beautiful eyes looked at Xu Yuheng, as if they wanted to see something different from Xu Yuheng's face. Seeing the appearance of Mu Nujiao, Xu Yuheng was not yet clear. She was already jealous. The gentle and charming pastoral slave's jealous appearance is different from others. Her clear eyes staring at you make you feel guilty. Xu Yuheng lightly pinched the delicate and pretty face of the herdsman and said, "What are you thinking? You and I haven't eaten it yet, how could I possibly think of other girls?" Mu Nujiao let out a soft snort, glanced at Xu Yuheng, walked forward with his hands behind his back, as if he didn't want to talk to you. But before she could walk much further, someone stood in front of her. An elderly man with gray hair and a smile walked towards the two of them. Xu Yuheng, who had always been indifferent to the demons and snakes in the capital, showed a rare look of respect. "Grandpa Xiao, you're not in the academy, why are you running here?" The person who came here was none other than Dean Xiao from Ningxue Academy, a third-generation forbidden mantra mage, and also had some friendship with Xu Yuheng's grandfather. Dean Xiao also smiled and said, "Oh, old man, I just came out to take a stroll, and by the way, I would like to invite you, a genius born with a spiritual seed, to come to my Ningxue Academy." Chapter 10. 3 Steps Tower, the Fire About to Transform. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The Dean of the Magic Pearl Academy, second only to the Imperial Capital Academy in China, personally invited Xu Yuheng, but Mu Nujiao couldn't understand how much Xu Yuheng had hidden from her. However, in terms of Xu Yuheng's address of Dean Xiao, Mu Nujiao was still very surprised. From childhood to adulthood, she lived in the Magic City, and Mu Nujiao naturally understood the status of Ningxue Academy, and also gained a better understanding of what kind of existence Dean Xiao was. A glimmer of hope flashed through her clear and beautiful eyes, and she naturally hoped that the more Xu Yuheng could hide behind him, the better. Then, Mu Shi had no reason to dare to restrain their relationship. Regarding Dean Xiao's invitation, Xu Yuheng was somewhat surprised and said, "Grandpa Xiao, you just came here in person to invite me to join Ningxue Academy." "That's right, I'm here to find you." It's a special move from Ningxue Academy for you, a genius born with a spiritual seed. I don't know if you're willing to come, of course. If you're willing to come, for your grandfather's sake, I can unconditionally let you use the 3-step tower once. Director Zhao directly offered a condition that Nujiao had never heard of before, even a few times since the establishment of Ningxue Academy. The 3-step pagoda can be said to be an opportunity for children of aristocratic families to compete with each other. If it's better at the main campus, it can be placed in the youth campus during the first enrollment period, and almost few people will qualify to enter the 3 steps tower. Nujiao is a special move and must work in the Qin campus. Only intermediate mages can enter the main campus. To be honest, apart from the 3-step pagoda, Xu Yuheng couldn't really take a glance at the other resources of Ningxue Academy. Specifically, after Mo Fan won the competition, Dean Xiao gave him the equivalent rewards from the Green Campus. In addition to the 3-step tower, he also gave Mo Fan an additional magical tool. It sounds good to say that the special move is to enter Ningxue Academy early, but in reality, there is not much profit to be gained. After a brief thought, Xu Yuheng did not agree at all. Grandpa Xiao, although I also really want to join Ningxue Academy, you know that I have just mastered magic and I am still far from reaching the intermediate level. If the quota for the 3-step tower is used before my middle level, it would be a complete waste, and I believe you would not be happy to see it. Dean Zhao's expression narrowed and he said, so, you're planning to spend more time with the little girl from the Mu family next to you at the Magic City No. 1 middle school. Grandpa Xiao, you're right to say that, but the situation at the Qingdao campus is indeed quite clear. This also made Dean Xiao fall silent directly, just like Xu Yuheng said, the Qin campus is not worth it, especially for Xu Yuheng. Regarding this, Dean Xiao also decided to compromise and said, all right, when you reach the middle level, come over and bring the little girl next to you along. After speaking, Dean Xiao walked slowly away. Watching Dean Xiao leave, Nujiao extended her sinful little hand and lightly placed it on Xu Yuheng's waist. She carefully recalled what she had seen in the Xu family before, Xu's mother exerting a slight force on Xu's father's movements. Nujiao, what are you doing? Xu Yuheng, who took a deep breath, bit his teeth and said in a somewhat unfriendly tone, murder my husband. Nujiao shook her head and said with a watery smile, no, isn't that what Director Zhao said just now? It's like I got your light and can also get the special move from Ningxue Academy. Seizing the cute and wicked little hand of the herdsman, he kept rubbing it around his waist. Xu Yuheng nodded and said, that's right, but that's not why you pinched me. Of course, it's to confirm if I'm dreaming, and also, it's just a warning to someone. Don't just eat from the bowl and look at the pot. See you tomorrow, Xu Yuheng said, letting Xu Yuheng hold on to his own herd servant and cover his red lips with a light smile. Taking advantage of Xu Yuheng's lack of attention, the pastoral slave who gently gave him a hug ran quickly, waving her fair little hand, as if bidding farewell to Xu Yuheng. Sending off Nujiao, Xu Yuheng embarked on the journey home, thinking about what Nujiao had said before. According to Nujiao, Ningxue had already awakened to magic 2 years ago, 1 year earlier than a normal student. Mo Fan, on the other hand, was a year later than her, roughly the double magic awakened last year. Although he enrolled with Nujiao in the same year as the original timeline, he is 1 year older than Xu Yuheng and Nujiao, and this year is already the 2nd year of high school. The second half of the semester has just started, which means that there is less than a year and a half left before Mo Fan graduates from his 3rd year of high school. If possible, he would like to go at this time. Under the flat mirror, Xu Yuheng flashed a hint of fierce coldness. He had never forgotten that damn woman. In the midst of ice and snow, he always remembered that night 10 years ago. Sarang, no matter where you hide, I will definitely pull you out and chop off your head to use for their spirits in heaven. To be honest, when he first realized that he was in the world of a full-time mage, he had no plans on how to deal with Sarang. After all, he was not a saint and had to go and save him when he encountered him. Even though his family is not something that Sarang or the Black Church can shake, he doesn't have to actively provoke crazy dogs like Sarung and the Black Church. 10 years ago, reality slapped him hard in the face. How to say, it's not that you don't care about someone like Sarung, so she won't have trouble with you. On the contrary, the more you ignore her, the more she will die in front of you. He thought a lot about butching all the way and first discussed with his father, trying not to tell his mother as much as possible. He still wants to go to the place in Bucheon, but it's not that he went alone, but after privately discussing with Su's father. Now, the most important thing for him is to improve his strength. Upon returning home, Xu Yuheng simply greeted his parents who were hugging him while watching TV, and then went directly to the cultivation site that he had spent a lot of money on underground. Host. Xu Yuheng Legal System. Fire Spirit Seed. Emperor Flame, gifted by newcomers, can continuously enhance power and increase various effects by devouring spirit seeds, soul seeds, etc. Magic. Level 1 Fire and Burning, Beginner, 97 out of 100. It has been almost a month since he mastered the fire, and with his spiritual power that has completely stabilized in the second realm, he is able to achieve a one-thought track, almost instantly releasing the first level of fire. Based on this situation, Xu Yuheng has completely mastered the fire control, but on the quantity level panel, he is still stuck in the entry-level stage and still needs 3 proficiency levels to break through this stage. A golden flame was released as Xu Yuheng's orbit formed, causing damage to the set target. Xu Yuheng also took advantage of the heat to strive to complete the final 3 proficiency levels today. He wants to see what changes will happen to Huizi after getting started his seeking collection, seeking recommendation.